there, viewers. I hope you've got a cuppa. You're going to need a bit of a big one. Nice. I'll pop this down over here. I'm sure I'm going to be coming back to it as we go through this. So, major update to Train Sim World 3. Did I say 3? Train Sim World 5 post-release patch 3. Look at it, the 3. God. Anyway, we're all fallible. It's okay to fail. Okay, as usual, I read through these articles to improve the accessibility of the information and get it to people in a form that they can consume without having to go and read it for themselves for those who can't or won't. Let's start off. We are thrilled to announce the release of the first major patch for Train Sim World 5. Strange, I thought it was the third. Anyway, this patch is our largest one yet and includes a wide range of fixes and improvements, such as optimizations for the West Coast Main Line route and more. The patch is available starting now, but it may take up to 24 hours for the patch to become available on your systems. We appreciate your patience as our team continues to work on further improvements and optimizations to prevent crashes and performance drops, as well as further improvements for the West Coast Main Line. We will keep you updated on future updates as soon as we have more news to share. Thank you for your ongoing support. Headliners. There's a full change list, which we will go through. Fixes for core. Various minor memory optimizations for console platforms PS4, PS5, Xbox Series S and X. Profile importing has been resolved on Xbox PC. Ooh, those people now have a difficult choice to make. Do they import their profile or do they keep going with the one they've made for TSW5? Ooh, hard choice. West Coast Main Line. Various optimization improvements to help performance across the route. Just checking to make sure my mic was on. Euston Station lighting has been updated to be less bright overall and prevent train coaches becoming too bright inside the station. London skyline should be visible at all appropriate distances. Added missing overhead line equipment wires just outside Milton Keynes heading south, and fixed floating overhead line equipment brackets. Bletchley Station has been updated to correct major texturing issues. Passengers at Bletchley Station will no longer get caught in large groups on stairs. Watford Junction exterior signage and branding has been updated to reflect the real-life management of the station. Updated camera collision when inside Euston Station to prevent major view bouncing issues. Updated lighting in tunnels across the route to prevent trains becoming too dark when travelling through. Fixed an issue where grass walking audio was played when walking across metal bridges across the route. Class 350. Added missing track joint sounds. Headlights will no longer remain active despite being toggled off in the cab. Updated gangway door audio to play as expected. Updated the interior door animation to play as expected. Removed clicking sound audible in the fan aircon and when running at 50 miles per hour. Let's get into the full list now. So, core, we've covered the memory optimizations, we've covered the profile imports. These are some new ones. We fixed an issue using fast travel on Xbox that could soft lock the player. It sounds uncomfortable. Removed restriction on TSW3/4 pre-order decals within Livery Designer. Fixed a crash on PS4 when starting up a custom scenario. Conductor mode. Loading from a save now correctly reloads checked tickets and continues in conductor mode as expected. Taking control of an AI service as the guard will now work more than once. Slightly reduced size of the ticket marker icon to prevent clipping. Fixed some services that had both driver and conductor mode enabled, preventing you from driving the trains and only allowed conductor mode. Fixed an issue that failed to allow conductor mode to start as expected when the third-person camera was far away from the train as the service begins. Fixed an issue when guarding the 766.2 DBPBZFA DP on Frankfurt-Fulda, where a gold medal was not achievable. Fixed button and lever markers on guard mode services not disappearing if switching to another service. Fixed an issue where completed medals would not display in the menu after finishing conductor mode services on San Bernardino. UI and menus. All custom keybinds should now correctly save after editing. Fixed an issue where medals shown on your profile were all the same color. Fixed a crash on Xbox when scrolling through multiple photo gallery thumbnails quickly. Fixed an issue on Xbox where navigating through photo gallery to ensure the page correctly displays the images. Fixed an issue where the route map and pause menu could overlap. Fixed a missing space between the number and unit in stop accuracy section of the performance breakdown. Fixed multiple words overlapping in online sharing hub menu. Fixed text overlaps when creating new scenarios without a name entered correctly. Fixed to ensure the favorite train image displays correctly. Fixed an issue where long names for favorite trains would not fit in the profile box UI. Fixed UI pop-ups having unnecessary gaps between text and buttons. Fixed text padding when selecting which gameplay option to play on a specific route. Fixed text in the early access banner is overlapped in the home menu. Photo mode. Fixed an issue where the player falls through the map after exiting photo mode. Live map. Fixed an issue to ensure the departures list on the 2D map shows correct trains at all times. Fixed an issue where details on the player-driven train would not display correctly. Route hopping. Fixed an issue where Xbox controllers could not interact with route hopping menus. Scenario planner. Fixed an issue where editing scenario name description jumps to the end of the text box. PC editor fixed a crash when selecting ECP and placing signals. West Coast main line. There's a few. Various optimization improvements to help performance across the route. Particular focus on key reported areas including Euston and other stations, with updates to asset and scenery elements to better utilize and reduce memory loads. Told you you'd need your cuppa. Euston station lighting has been updated to be less bright overall and prevent train coaches becoming too bright inside the station. Updated London skyline to be visible at all appropriate distances. Timetable updated so Class 390 should arrive in Euston with the first class end of the train at the buffer end of the tracks. Added missing overhead line equipment wires just outside Milton Keynes heading south and fixed floating overhead line equipment brackets. Added fourth rail electrification to crossover between Kilburn High Road Station and Queen's Park. That means the trains won't get stuck there anymore. Bletchley Station has been updated to correct major texturing issues. Watford Junction exterior signage and branding has been updated to reflect the real-life management of the station. Added missing third rail to Park Street Tunnel. Added option to spawn at Wembley Intercept City Depot on foot. Player will no longer be allowed to sit in passenger-occupied seats. Oh, but that was fun sitting inside them. Passengers will now spawn on the correct side of the fence at Cheddington Station. Passengers at Bletchley Station will no longer get caught in large groups on stairs. Passengers at Tring will no longer get caught in large groups and clip through each other. Passengers at Tring will all face the correct direction when moving around the station. Passengers at Aspley Station will no longer spawn where the player is looking. Updated camera collision when inside Euston Station to prevent major view bouncing issues. Updated snow textures on the tracks outside of Euston to prevent them popping in and out. Updated theatre heads on signals outside of Euston. Updated signals and signal nameplates to be consistent with the Bakerloo Line add-on around Harrow and Wealdstone and ensure accurate representation of the route. Updated and improved signals and approach release at Wembley Station. Updated and improved signalling around Wembley European Freight Operating Centre. That would be the wee fock. They didn't think that well. Updated and improved signals and approach release at Williston Station. Updated and improved signalling at RailNet Reception Departure Roads near Stonebridge Park. Updated signals and signage sizes outside Stonebridge Park as expected. Updated aspects for signals WS36 and WS38 at the yard end of Stonebridge Park Depot. Updated platform marker lengths at Euston Station. Updated electrification of the track at Williston Junction to allow both the 1972 stock and the Class 710 to path into the platform correctly. Updated lighting in tunnels across the route to prevent trains becoming too dark when travelling through. Updated platform numbers and PIS boards at Carpenter's Park to face the expected way. Fixed platform markers for Euston Station and Watford Junction Station being incorrectly set up and causing passengers to board unexpectedly. Fixed an issue where grass walking audio was played when walking across metal bridges across the route. Fixed an issue where the South Hampstead Station sign had a large lighting issue covering it. Fixed a decal clipping through the wall at Hatch End Station. Fixed train washer cross beams near Williston being too low and clipping into trains. Fixed an issue where the fourth rail accidentally turned off on track at Stonebridge Park. Fixed an issue at signal WM151 north of Headstone Lane with scaling issues. Fixed an issue where the player is unable to climb some platforms at Milton Keynes Station. Fixed an issue where passengers could appear under the tracks at Milton Keynes Station. Oh, I've had that happen. Fixed an issue where the player is unable to climb some platforms at Berkhamsted Station. Fixed a missing light source at Kilburn High Road Station. Removed fourth rail going through AWS magnet between Hatch End and Carpenter's Park. Localisation improvements for rail driver controls across all stock. Class 350 added missing track joint sounds. Headlights will no longer remain active despite being toggled off in the cab. Updated gangway door audio to play as expected. Updated the interior door animation to play as expected. Fixed an issue where the electric shoe would clip through the third rail. Fixed an issue where tooltips for keyboard shortcuts were missing in the Class 350 introduction. Removed clicking sound audible in the fan aircon when running at 50 mph. Italian localisation improvement for the TMS screen. 1972 stock. Fixed PIS not appearing as expected on AI trains. Class 377 localisation improvements for rail driver controls. Avanti Class 390 Pendolino updated various service durations to allow for completion within the time limit. Fixed an issue where some services were in reverse formation with first class at the rear heading to London. Various improvements to fix typos on pop-ups and PIS displays. Additional localisation changes. San Bernardino added all additional layers for Xbox Series S players. Ooh, they'll be happy, but their Xbox might be on fire. Added additional car traffic around Interstate 215 near San Bernardino. Updated duration for the rescue at the ranch scenario to allow for completion within the time limit. Updated duration for the Service 382 LA Union to Redlands scenario to allow for completion within the time limit. Updated PIS displays for Inland Empire trains to correctly display final destinations as Oceanside and or Redland. Added number plates to signals 431 and 432 that were missing them. Fixed multiple assets around Covina that appeared to be floating in the air. Fixed an issue during the service SD40/2 BNSFR/Cal 6011 where the player was held at a red light and unable to proceed. Fixed an issue during the service BNSFR Cal 6011 where it was unable to be completed due to leaving the playable area. Yay! Fixed the size of the tooltip description during San Bernardino route introduction. Various localization improvements. Now, why did I get so excited about BNSFR Cal 6011? Because it's the best shunting service ever. It's the only local freight pickup and delivery service that we've had outside of the Peak Forest route. I want more of them. So I'm really glad that we'll be able to finish it now. Now I can go play it. Metrolink MP36PH-3C updated the animation of the assistant engineer's emergency brake to play correctly. Fixed an issue with missing audio when interacting with the alarm silencer and HVAC control switches. Fixed an issue where the player could be prompted to climb down from the cab whilst on the platform during the MP36PH introduction. Localization improvements for rail driver controls. Metrolink F125 fixed an issue where the in-cab screens were not illuminating as expected. Sorry, the hiccups. Rotom cars updated the front grille model to render better at a distance. Bi-level cars ensured conductor mode functionality works as expected with the Rotom cars. Frankfurt-Fulda. We've got a long way to go, you know that. For various improvements to ensure signals at Frankfurt and other stations across the route have the correct display as per reality. Added fences at S-Bahn sidings in Offenbach Ost and adjusted landscape to sound barrier and tracks. Added terrain around sound barriers at the Offenbach Ost station. Added missing GPA 2000 Hz at Frankfurt-Süd entry. Added missing LF7 signs at Flieden towards Frankfurt. Fixed an issue with track switches not setting the correct path near the Frankfurt Hauptbahnhof after setting the key in the yard boxes. Fixed an issue where NBU signs were not placed correctly at the Schlütern tunnel for northbound trains. Fixed overhead line equipment head spanner on the track at Frankfurt Hauptbahnhof. Fixed overhead line equipment clipping the train on the siding at Fulda. Fixed an issue where signal S9 at Fulda station is clipping the station roof and not visible from the track. Adjusted GPA magnet at Offenbach Ost so that you can drive over the magnet with a speed that is slightly above 60. Ensured Zusellicht on advanced signals, HV signals only, is turned on at Frankfurt Süd. DBBR 411 ICE-T fixed a gap in the gateway between the carriages when the loco is moving on a curve. Fixed an issue where digital screens would not tilt with the loco and ensured they correctly displayed expected information. DBBR114 fixed BR114 brakes not working correctly due to pressure not building as expected. Fixed DBBR193 Vectron various localization improvements to rail driver controls. Flixtrain BR193 Vectron updated the formation of the delays expected scenario to be formed of 8 cars. Fixed an issue where the brakes would release by themselves if the cab is deactivated. Fixed an issue where the distributor release valve was unable to be interacted with. Fixed an issue with exterior brake indicators not displaying as expected. Fixed an issue where the brake selector lever incorrectly activated the red hoop cable. Fixed an issue where the hose pipes of the Talbot coaches failed to be connected properly at the gangway. Fixed an issue where the player was unable to open the passenger doors using the buttons in the cab. Fixed an issue on Xbox where players could not open the external camera in the second cab. Localization improvements for rail driver controls. Various localization improvements. Rosenheim-Salzburg fixed an issue with texture holes in the gravel around Rosenheim. Bremen-Oldenburg fixed an issue where service GAG 63308 was impossible to complete due to an incorrect dependency for Rus ignored. DBBR425 updated exterior snow textures to appear and build up correctly. Niddelbahn updated live map to show the newest TSW5 version. Expert DBBR101 and IC Stuhlwagen Loco. The following changes on this post relate to the Expert DBBR101 and IC Stuhlwagen Loco add-on, and detail a large range of functionality improvements, including new timetable additions and new suspension physics for the IC cab, as well as fixes to community-raised issues. Added Expert DBBR101 timetable for Kensington-Bad, Frankfurt-Fulda. Added Expert DB101 timetable for Bremen-Oldenburg. Replaced BR406 ICE3M in Dresden-Riesa Expert DBBR101 timetable with Frankfurt-Fulda BR111 ICE-T. Made sure wagons in PBZ scenario are set up correctly with disabled air systems. Fixed a bug where permanent faults could appear even when disabled for a system. Fixed train formation in PBZ scenario. Added a driver assist prompt for trying to apply power with the electric train supply disabled so the cab car battery doesn't run out and cause problems. In the tutorial, the coasting step now completes on off, not on min. Fixed train data being preset in the train data tutorial if expert mode is disabled. GSM-R added audio when calling a non-registered functional number. Tweaked ZVM error 2 audio, no functional number registered. Update GSM-R-D cell towers to include Hanau to Frankfurt. Fixed railway emergency calls not being terminated if left. Fixed GSM-R completely breaking when reloading from a save game. Fixed BZ link for Fulda Castle. Added AI drivers not registering their train data. Fixed priority 4 VGCS/VBC calls soft locking the MMIS display. Fixed the MMIS typo Verpat Meldung to Verspat Meldung. Fixed EVU page displaying ghost EVUs when less than 7 EVUs are on the SIM card. Adjusted call audio volume for ZES calls. Adjusted call audio volume for the automatic held voice call voice. Added technical support to terminate the VGCS/VBC calls via DTMF. They are tones. BP, MM, BD, ZF, and Expert DBR 101 reworked light setup featuring light cones under volumetric fog, implemented the LZB/PZB test logic, implemented Erstatsudaten logic, whatever that is, implemented MFA/MFD train data display logic, holding down PZB acknowledge and release for 1 second, implemented LZB transmission failure support, implemented LZB transmission failures as faults, implemented passenger emergency brake handle being pulled as faults, implemented new CFA logic below 5 kilometers an hour, full rewrite of the LZB PZB indicator logic, fixes ghost PZB indicators under LZB monitoring, reworked PZB Grunddaten indicator behavior to match the prototype, fixed LZB target distance being displayed in 200 meter steps instead of in 100 meter steps above 4,000 meters, added permanent flashing of the store indicator if the LZB is isolated through the fault isolation, new headlight textures courtesy of community member Redstonia, made digital displays mostly save game compatible, added ability to close the simulation control page with the C button, added widget stacking support to digital display system, added new Ebola brightness control, added new passenger emergency brakes sim control page, corrected Ebola Bremsschanzstelle typo to Bremsschanzstelle, fixed a bug that made traction possible when the locomotive is pushing the cab car, even when the loco is in ZDS, fixed several bugs in ZDS and ZWS multiple unit protocol that made the player have to cycle the reverser or enable ZXS on both locomotives, loco and cab car in specific order, updated a few Ebola pages with more readable font settings, fixed some errors in the AI service setup and shutdown sequences, fixed ZDS not enabling unless the TDM switches and cab active were performed in a specific sequence, fixed PZB triggering a penalty brake after deactivating the cab while PZB was in restrictive mode, adjusted the way the fault manager calculates a fault when a fault should happen, fixed ZDS not enabling unless the ZXS switches and cab activations were performed in a specific sequence, BP, MM, BD, ZF and or coaches, implemented suspension on cab car only, implemented PZB buzzer logic for PZB penalty brake applications, improved coach number logic, lowered the delay of the brake pipe accelerators when switching from open to closed state. This will make the brake pipe start charging quicker after an emergency brake application, made tail light switch preset to off when the cab car is coupled at the front, changed logic of the fault indicator panel to not flash the store button if the MBU EP is enabled or brakes on the rear connected locomotive is applied, fixed cab car windshield rain visuals, fixed contact signaler button, added the IC logo on the BP MMBD ZF, added 3 switches for signal lights backup power, fixed an issue where the power and jumper cables would dangle out the front when not coupled, fixed animations and RVV click spots for the MG test buttons, fixed numbering on the BP MMZ coach, fixed BP MMBD ZF being displayed as AVMMZ 106.1 in the pause menu, fixed cab window sliding animation not matching between the glass and the window frame, changed the closed door logic to make it lock the door when pressing the close button on a door if the TB0 signal is present, necessary to make sure doors lock after using the UIC key, fixed GSMR not searching for a cell tower in the initial spawn, added a delay to the door close lock function calls on the on-door lock task logic to not close immediately but wait for the alarm, corrected some logic for the fault indicator panel to be prototypical, fixed incorrectly positioned or rotated jumper and power cables at the front of the cab car, disabled signal digital display screen zoom on interior PIS display in the cab car, tweaked headlight setup based on community feedback, headlights reduced no longer displays signal light texture, headlights reduced no longer dims the headlamp. Made LSS LZB open and LZB PZB cutout valve closed by default, fixes missing flashing 55 light when in the Grunddaten basic data mode. Reworked door auto open logic to fix a bug with AI trains. Doors are randomly selected to open on the side that was unlocked and only if that side has a platform. Probability depends on coach passenger load, but always at least one door is open. Taught the driver the correct way to sit on a chair. Door keys on AVMMZ now rotate in the correct direction. Added door keys for the cab car and coaches. Fixed a bug where doors would not work if a second cab was active. Fixed brake and energy gauges in the cab car not being lit properly. Enabled the toilet. Gotcha. Expert DBBR 101. Fixed a bug that made the Zwang Bremsung audio cue not play correctly. Ooh, we wouldn't want to miss Zwang Bremsung. Fixed a bug with the ZDE logic that made the numbers display when they shouldn't. Improved sporadic audio occlusion changes with high distances travelled in a single frame. Fixed the ASG GUSP ghost malfunctions. Fixes ASG failures without a fault indication. Fixed the ASG Stuhr-Spannung ghost malfunctions. Fixes ASG failures without a fault indication. Fixed rectifier blower ghost malfunctions. Fixes the DG/bogey failures without a fault indication. Fixed HSM ghost malfunctions. Fixes the EL brakes failing without a fault indication. Reworked door auto open logic to fix a bug with AI trains. Implemented some faults requiring the driver to disable ASGs or DGs directly from V greater than 0 or V equals 0 page via soft keys 3 on the MTD. Improved MU/ZXS stability. Reworked AFB speed holding logic during LZB. Decreased AFB holding brake release tolerance as per driver feedback. Added missing behaviour when the train leaves LZB and AFB is active. Reworked LSS3 for F05 auxiliary compressor behaviour to be more prototypical. Changed pantograph raise sound to match the real world. Fixed a bug in the energy counter that made the screen output non-rounded when switching pages. Implemented ZMS MTD Grundbild and Z/BR page when ZMS or ZDS is active. Implemented remote compressor control LP2 in the ZDS ZMS. Added L2P2 Luftpressor 2 indicator on the MTD status bar. This logo's just getting more complex, isn't it? Change the LZB direction logic to set the correct direction as soon as the reverser is moved out of off rather than neutral. Changed traction lock from MCB being open in ZDS to check if all locomotives have their MCBs open. Added traction lock trigger on LZB end if AFB is enabled. Added a rudimentary function Sprühfangen page to the MTD under BR101 MFD's ZugBC page. Added older software version for the MFD and BR101 MFD cab access by setting the in-game date and time to before 2006. Fixed a bug in the pantograph selection logic that made the wrong pantograph raise if the locomotive is flipped in ZWS. Fixed malfunctions not appearing in the ST fault list page until either the up or down arrow was pressed. Fixed a ZDS bug which can cause conflicts between the active and remote locomotive, causing them to power in opposite directions. Been there. Tweaked the MFA indicator texture with imperfections matching reference material. Changed default position of the direct brake lever to hold. Fixed direct brake not being releasable if the direct brake lever was in hold on the inactive cab. Fixed an issue where the Antrieb or traction motor page did not update correctly if faults occurred on the ASG. Fixed missing glass rain effects in cab 2. Corrected ZDS-BR. 120 decaled as ZDS-BR 120. There you go, I was kind of right the first time. Corrected Versong and whatever, decaled. Fixed missing loco number in the BR101 MFD cab. Fixed the GSMR emergency call button in cab 2. Fixed non-interactable windshield heating switch in the cabs of the BR101 with MFD and BR101 in white IC livery. One of my viewers will be very happy to hear that. Fixed a bug in the blended brake logic if a whole bogie is shut off. In blended braking, no pressure is applied to the cylinders of the shut-off bogie. Only fully air braking or emergency will apply air. And if you can hear that cat, it's very happy. Fixed current tractive effort increasing quicker than target tractive effort on the remote loco when AFB is enabled. Fixed a bug in the brakes applied MTD status indication logic that made it read the master loco in certain situations rather than the rear loco or cab car as prototypical. Update energy counter to work realistically with multiple locomotives in ZDS/ZMS. Added a fault message for less than 2 ASGs being ready. Added prototypical behavior of the blended brake logic. Brake cylinder pressure stays vented if blended braking was previously active and then electric brake was released. Resets if brakes are fully released or brake level is increased. Added a main reservoir bypass valve, important in case of battery magnetic solenoid fails and cuts off the main reservoir from all other pneumatic systems. Corrected relay valve cutout logic allows applying or releasing brakes from brake valves with the brake key closed when the cutoff valve is opened. Added LZB MTDW page. Fixed incorrect logic for the ETCS/MFD versus MFA loco in the machine room. The ZDE voltage source switch was invisible in MFA when it should be visible, and visible in the ETS when it should be invisible. Fixed an issue in energy counter that made it grow regenerated energy if the train line is active without traction applied. Fixed ETCS 101 ZDE and ZUG BC showing zeros when no train data has been entered by the player. Fixed incorrect emissive reference that made the cab light always illuminated in the ETCS cab. Fixed the cab 2 auxiliary control. Fixed a bug that made multiple unit traction not work if ZWS was disabled and then enabled on the locomotive without changing the reverser on the cab car. Fixed an issue that caused both pantographs to be lowered in some situations when ZDS is enabled and two coupled locomotives are spawned together. Fixed a bug that made it possible to interact with the machine door while in the spy hole view. Fixed towing valve animation in the machine room. Fixed parking brake cutoff valve animation in the machine room. Fixed signal headlights not updating when the signal light LSS is moved until updated from other switches. Fixed a bug that caused both pantographs to raise after raising the pantograph and changing cabs while both pantos were down. Improved the MTD boost sequence with new BIOS visuals. Removed decimal numbers from the MTG ZSG page. Added warnings when inputting invalid data in the Ebola BRH calculator page. Tweaked visuals of EDSG MTD page. Added Wartung prompt when pressing UD on the MTD. Fixed soft key 8 on the Ebola and cab 2 being linked to the MTD. Fixed the WD malfunction history list repeating entries on every page. Fixed multiple MTDW pages being affected by the player's game language. Implemented/corrected some readings on the adhesion MTD page. Fixed an issue with the adhesion page delta V number would show a -0. Shortened battery Fenteldung V greater than 0 text to fit on the MTD. Corrected malfunction text GOSV typos to GOSP. Added additional MTD faults for the ASG GSP failures. You sure you wanted a complex locomotive? Really? Fixed blurry text on the MTD grunt build. Fixed sound for auxiliary reservoir drain valves to have the hissing noise when opened rather than closed. Removed used instrument light stat tracking message when interacting with the train light switch for the first time. Changed the MFD electric bremse Gestort indicator logic to match the MFA logic. Changed the MTD status bar fault indication from sys/tsys to ST in sys TSYS in the MFD cab. Changed some logic with parking brake and battery off simulation. Fault indices on the WD malfunction history page are now right justified. Updated the cab desk texture to slightly reduce compression artifacts. Disabled on brightness and contrast buttons during a display's boot or shutdown screen. Added click spots for the PA and intercom buttons on the GSMR in both cabs. Added a blocker to the pantograph and MCB control when screens have not booted fully. Added different MTD software for 101.124 and 101.126 and 101.130 and 101.131. These numbers aren't accessible in an unmodded game, so this one is for the modders. Fixed a mistake that made the LZB end sound not play. Fixed error in AFB where it would undershoot the target speed in LZB. Adjusted pantograph physics to match real life more closely. Adjusted collision around couplers for ease of use. Fixed incorrect signal light logic for AI trains. Signal lights should now only be in the tail lights on unconnected ends. Fixed skinning of wheels on the BR101 that would cause a cable to rotate with the wheels. The rear locomotive takes over and provides train line power, electric train supply ZZs, if the lead fails while ZDS is active. Thank you for your patience while we've worked on and delivering these fixes. Additionally, our teams are still continuing to work on optimizations to prevent crashing in areas of FPS dropping across TSW5 routes, as well as improvements we've committed for the West Coast Main Line. We're still developing and testing these, and we'll share more news once they are ready. Well, there you go. It's quite a big update come out for Train Sim World 5. It's the third update, and it does sound like positive indications that there's more to come. So I've got the game downloading right now, and we shall see what it's like. First, though, I do have to go to work because it's that time of the day, so I won't be showing it to you right now. Alrighty, have fun, folks. Thanks for hanging around while this was read through. As always, I read through this to improve the accessibility of the information, to get it out to more people than who otherwise might find it in its written form, or perhaps aren't able to consume it in its written form. If this is helpful for you, give it a like and subscribe if you're not. And if you've got, if you've got any questions, chuck them down below and I'll see what I can do to help you out. Alrighty, folks. See you later. Bye.
We played a game.